Movies are more than entertainment. They can also be windows to the past. They can serve as historical references that can help us to have a wider comprehension of the events that happened in the past. Through a combination of images, sound, scripts, and artistic elements, the scenes that are carefully created can transmit several messages. From the perspective of the director to the appreciation of the audience, every aspect takes a role at the moment of watching a movie, and that is what makes cinema as interesting as you want. What is amazing is to have the possibility of traveling through space and time without getting out of the comfort of a movie theater or even the couch. In this documentary, we will take a journey to the history of one of the most important nations of the modern times, the United States of America. From the foundation of Jamestown in 1607 to the moon landing in 1969, from the witch trials in 1692 to the struggles for civil rights in the 1960s, we will explore the key moments in American history and culture. Through these events, we will have a better idea of the challenges, changes, and evolution that the United States has gone through. And although a lot of things have changed, this journey can help us to empathize with several social movements and human rights aspects that have been in a constant fight since the creation of a country and are in some cases still a problem in the present day. More than 300 years ago, one of the darkest chapters in the history of the United States occurred in Salem, Massachusetts, where a lot of people, mainly women, were accused of witchcraft and ended up being killed by a town with superstitious ideologies that caused the massacre, surpassing fiction. And although we can have an idea of the horrors of the event through the movie The Crucible, I'm pretty sure that the real events should have been worse than in a Hollywood movie. But isn't this the same nation that sent a human to the moon and back? How is that possible? Well, the United States hasn't been always as it is nowadays, since its history is full of intrigue, battles, and war. In 1776, after what they consider abuses from the British Crown, the nation that was about to be born declared its independence, which led to a war with England that lasted for several years until the United States of America was recognized as an independent country. This part of the American history is presented in the famous movie The Patriot with Mel Gibson, a dramatic representation of the War of Independence that transmits the essence of the time through the landscapes and costumes. Although it isn't situated in a concrete part of the real event, this movie is a good way of mixing entertaining and history. More than 150 years after, another war will remind the world that the peace was far from being a reality. The World War II, viewed from the perspective of the director Jonathan Demme, was an opportunity for women to enter the workforce and break the established gender roles that, in most of the cases, kept women oppressed. This fragment of the history of the United States serves as a reminder that established ways of thinking aren't always universal, since the human spirit always tried to break the barriers of the impossible. This conflict wasn't the first, and unfortunately, it wouldn't be the last conflict in which the United States will be involved. And although the history of this amazing country has a lot of contrast, injustice, and blood, there is also a great sense of patriotism that has helped the people to break their own imposed limitation through the pass of time. There is an excellent example of how complex and in some cases absurd was the problem of racism in the USA in the middle of a social changing nation. The movie Hidden Figures presents the life of three of the most important scientists that helped the NASA take a human to the moon, and ironically, they were African American women that by that time they were working as successful scientists for the most important mission of the NASA. They were suffering an intense racism and discrimination that remained from the segregation of the Jim Crow laws. It is ironical how the history is full of contradictions, and sometimes it seems unpredictable. If you think about it, it sounds out of reality imagining that there is a country that is sending people to the moon, while at the same time it is sending people to kill other people in Vietnam. The history is far from being perfect, but there are progressive changes. It is just a matter of continuing advancing through the positive path.